The old Victorian mansion had been abandoned for years, its once grandeur facade now in ruins. No one dared to venture inside, for the stories of the mansion's past were enough to send shivers down anyone's spine. It was said that the mansion was cursed, that anyone who entered it would never return. But curiosity got the better of me, and I decided to explore the mansion one night. The moon was full, casting an eerie glow on the mansion's crumbling walls as I approached it. The gates creaked open as I pushed them, and I walked up the overgrown path, my heart racing with every step. The mansion loomed over me, its dark windows staring down at me like unseeing eyes. I pushed open the door and stepped inside, my flashlight casting flickering shadows on the walls. The air was thick with dust, and cobwebs hung from the ceiling. As I walked deeper into the mansion, I heard strange noises coming from the darkness. It sounded like whispers, as if someone was trying to speak to me. Suddenly, the whispers grew louder, and I felt a cold breath on the back of my neck. I turned around, but there was no one there. The mansion was empty, or so I thought. As I continued exploring, I found a room that seemed untouched by time. The furniture was in pristine condition, and the room was free of dust and cobwebs. But as I stepped closer, I saw a figure in the mirror. It was a woman, dressed in a long white gown, her hair disheveled, and her eyes sunken. She had a sinister smile on her face, and her hands were covered in blood. I stumbled back, and the figure disappeared. I tried to leave the room, but the door wouldn't budge. Panic set in, and I frantically searched for another way out. But every door and window were locked, and I was trapped. The mansion was alive, and it wanted me to stay. I spent what felt like hours in that room, the silence broken only by the whispers and the sound of footsteps echoing through the halls. The mansion was playing with me, toying with my fear. I was its prey, and it was enjoying the hunt. But I wasn't going to give up. I knew I had to find a way out, or else I would be trapped in the mansion forever. As I searched for a way out, I found a hidden staircase leading down to the basement. It was dark, and the stairs creaked with every step. But I knew I had to go down if I wanted to escape. The basement was even darker than the rest of the mansion, and the air was damp and musty. I heard strange noises coming from the darkness, and my flashlight flickered as if something was interfering with it. I heard a voice calling my name, but it was distorted, as if it was coming from far away. I followed the sound, and it led me to a small room. The door was open, and I could see a figure sitting in the corner. It was the woman from the mirror, and she was holding a knife. She looked up at me, her eyes glowing with a sinister light. She beckoned me closer, and I hesitated. But then I heard a sound behind me, and I turned around. It was a group of people, all dressed in white, their faces twisted in a grotesque expression. They were chanting, and their voices echoed through the basement. I tried to run, but they surrounded me, and I felt their cold hands grabbing at me. I fought back, but it was no use. They dragged me closer to the woman, and I saw that she was holding a book. It was a thick leather-bound book, with strange symbols etched on its cover. The woman opened the book and began to chant, her voice growing louder and more sinister. As she chanted, I felt a force pulling at my body, and I was dragged towards the book. I tried to resist, but the pull was too strong. Suddenly, the woman plunged the knife into my chest, and I felt a sharp pain spreading through my body. I screamed in agony, but the chanting grew louder, drowning out my cries. I felt myself slipping away, my consciousness fading as the darkness consumed me. When I woke up, I was back in the room with the pristine furniture. My chest was still throbbing with pain, but the wound was gone. I tried to stand up, but my legs gave out, and I fell to the ground. I looked around the room, and I saw that the furniture was now covered in a thick layer of dust. The mansion had aged around me, but I had stayed the same. I realized then that I was trapped in the mansion, cursed to live there forever. The woman and her followers had sacrificed me to some dark force, and now I was a prisoner in this cursed place. Days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into years. I lost track of time, trapped in the never-ending darkness of the mansion. The whispers and the footsteps became my only companions, and the fear that gripped me never let go. But then, one day, I saw a glimmer of light in the darkness. It was a small window, and I could see the sun setting outside. I realized then that I had to escape, that I couldn't stay in the mansion any longer. I searched for a way out, and eventually, I found a loose brick in the wall. I pushed it aside, and I saw a small tunnel leading outside. It was narrow and cramped, but I crawled through it, desperate to escape. When I emerged from the tunnel, I saw that the mansion had crumbled to the ground. It was nothing but a pile of rubble, a monument to the horror that had consumed it. But I was free, and I ran towards the setting sun, eager to leave the cursed place behind. As I ran, I heard a faint whisper behind me, and I turned around. I saw the woman from the mirror, her eyes glowing with a sinister light. She smiled at me, and then she disappeared, consumed by the darkness. I knew then that the curse of the mansion would never leave me, that I would carry it with me for the rest of my life. But I was free, and that was all that mattered. As I walked away from the ruins of the mansion, I realized that the darkness would always be a part of me. But I also knew that I had survived, and that I had escaped the horror that had consumed the mansion. And as I walked towards the setting sun, I knew that I would never forget the horror of the cursed mansion, and the woman in the mirror who had sacrificed me to the darkness.